Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Well, hello everyone. How are you doing? I know it's a late show, so I do not expect a tremendous amount of viewers. I had just gotten back from Anarchon. I had another day of adventures with Southwest Airlines. Oh, my hair's sticking up weird in the back. And got home super late, had a lot to do, but I had promised I'd do a show today, and damn it, when I promise something, I'm going to do it. Let me get that comment screen up here if I can figure out how to do that. My things kind of got rearranged a little bit here. Where the heck? Hold on, Windows. I'm looking for overlays. There we go. Okay. Not that there's anyone in comments right now. I see a few people are watching, but I want to have that up there just in case. But maybe somebody sticks something in comments so it's just not this big pink box up there. You know what? I'm taking that off until I at least get one comment, because otherwise it looks really, really weird. Well, we are finally doing another history show. I was actually doing a bunch of historical stuff today, and I have to tell you, at Anarchon, I met a gentleman who he didn't find it for me, he had already had it, and he showed it to me, some super cool early Radical Caucus stuff. So I'll be showing you guys that soon. We're talking about the original Radical Caucus. It's on its 3rd iteration right now, and I see Bunchy is very excited. He's very excited about this news. I want to invite you to please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and we're going to get right into LP history. Oh, damn it. Like I usually do, there's one other thing I forgot to tell you. At Anarchon, so I gave my presentation, but somebody a few presentations before me kind of called me out a little bit, not like in a bad way, not in a confrontational way, but it was a gentleman who was very into no political actions, anarchists shouldn't be involved, you know, that age-old debate. You know, very much, you know, 100% agorism, that's all you can do. So he was like, and I'm going to talk to you afterwards. So I was the headline speaker. When I got up, before I started talking, I said, listen, this gentleman said he wanted to have this discussion with me to try to convince me that political action isn't the way to go. And I have to tell you, I was a little salty, not terribly, but I don't know. I don't really think the right approach is to get up in front of a bunch of people and say, I'm going to tell you why you just wasted the last 9 years of your life. Like, I don't really think that's the way to go about things, but I know he didn't mean it that way. But I'm not going to lie, I did kind of take it that way a little. So I said, like I do, I'm more than willing to have this discussion, but why have it in private? Why don't we have it in front of everybody? So after my talk, we had a little, I'm not going to call it a debate, we had a discussion. It's up on the channel. I know the audio is bad. It's because we weren't mic'd. There's a whole reason for that, where they had the stage set up, turned out to be in some brutal sunlight. They decided to move it over to where people could sit in shade. We didn't want people to have sunstroke. So I realized the audio is bad. I cleaned it up in Audacity the best I could, but it's listenable. And I think I did a good job. I know I had plenty of people come up to me afterwards who said, you know, you haven't completely convinced me, but you certainly gave me a lot to think about. And I used to be hardcore on the other side, and you've moved me. So that right there is victory as far as I'm concerned. If you want to know my bottom line opinion on that debate is, why not both? I don't find it productive or freedom honoring to tell people how to liberty. And I also don't think that you can judge for other people what's most effective, because one of the arguments made was, well, this kind of action is more effective. Well, you're acting like there's a great value arbiter in the sky, and there is a cobweb I just got that determines what is effective or valuable for me. And you can't do that. That's just, you think you can centrally plan liberty, do ya? Okay, so now we are going to get to the history. And I see Nathan heard my plea. So he stuck a comment up there, but I do welcome all comments. But this, again, this gentleman, though, I had the discussion with, is from the early LP, a wealth of knowledge about the early LP. And he told me things I didn't know. So it was really, really valuable for me. I can't find my cool glasses, so you're just going to have to put up with the boring ones. So where we are at is LP presidential contenders speak. So I'm not sure how much of this we're going to get through, but we're going to get through some of it. So let's get started. I need a little dew. I am exhausted and went on, for me, after a long trip, a hard hike today. All right, so first up, Roger McBride. We can make an enormous impact on the, so it looks like, I don't know, it looks like these are little speeches from the candidates. At first I thought they'd be like editorial write-ups. I don't know. Well, let's see. We can make an enormous impact on the American political scene and on public discussion next year. Apparently, there is not going to be a new nationwide liberal or conservative political party. It follows that ours will be the only alternative to which most people can look for relief from the shop-worn statist policies of the Democratic and Republican parties. That our ideas are appealing and have merit, none of us doubt. And in the many radio and television appearances I've made around this country during the last few years, I've observed that most of the reporters who interpret us to the public take a genuine interest in the libertarian message. That was really true in the 70s. I suppose when you're brand new and they think you're somewhat harmless and just like this weird oddity, they take an interest. Now they view us as a threat. Good. In order to achieve what we are after, we must mount a credible campaign for the presidency and vice presidency of the United States. It's essential that our candidates not only be pure libertarians, and it's so funny how we're so scared to say that today. Well, I wasn't scared to say that at Anarchon. I'm actually becoming more and more convinced that we cannot afford to nominate half-baked candidates any longer. Like, I am like so salty about the last Johnson Weld campaign. Not Joe Jorgensen. I'm going back to Johnson Weld, and, you know, people are like, yeah, but it was the best numbers ever. Okay, if we want the best numbers ever, why don't we just nominate Trump? We'll have bigger numbers than we ever had in our life. That's not what it's all about. It's about libertarianism. And never Weld again. And I don't mean him specifically, but I mean anyone like him. I would rather see us NODA and make a statement than do that again. And I'm not claiming any of our candidates are bad or anything like that. Not making any kind of statement about our current candidates. I am speaking more broadly, philosophically. I've been too busy with nearly everything I'm doing to really critically examine our candidates. I certainly have not seen anything completely horrible. But if things like very anti-libertarian messaging starts to come out, I would rather us go NODA, you know? And I know how risky that is, but we are the Libertarian Party, and we need to put out libertarian candidates, and we never used to be scared to say that. Okay, back again. And well, the problem, Nathan, with Jorgensen, she was a very solid libertarian. She just wasn't very exciting. She was boring. But she was a solid libertarian. You know, she had some missteps. Every candidate's going to have missteps. I'm not one of those people who excoriate her for that. But she didn't inspire and excite people. But I'll take a pure libertarian that might be a little boring, other than an exciting person that says crap like bake the cake. All right, let's get back. Okay, not only to be pure libertarians, but also be able to advance our philosophy in an understandable and non-threatening way to millions of people who have never heard of us or it. Further, our candidate must be able to go well beyond abstract philosophy to demonstrate how libertarianism can and will be applied to specific issues. It's of no use to merely preach philosophy to the dissatisfied parents of children in public schools. They want to learn why the ideal we prescribe is preferable and how we propose to transit from the present situation to the ideal, and what historical examples will help them know what to expect. The same precise approach is required for Idaho potato farmers, and it's funny he brings that up because I brought up before, I think his first name was Richard, it was Sims. Is it Richard Sims? Was the first libertarian, even if he didn't carry the L by his name, that we have elected to federal office. So don't let people tell you we have not, because we have. And it was in Idaho. No, he was an apple farmer, not a potato farmer. For some reason I thought potato, I guess because Idaho potatoes. who knows only a world with marketing controls and parity payments, and for workers who want an old age pension but do not realize that the Social Security system is bankrupt as well as immoral. Exposition of the libertarian philosophy is necessary, but it must be accompanied by a hard-headed application to the issues that concern us all today. This is so on point to what I was saying this weekend. The LP's distinguished Board of Economic Advisors. That's a new thing. I don't remember ever hearing about the LP having a Board of Economic Advisors. Has plans for position papers on an enormous number of subjects. We used to put out a lot of white papers. I wish we did that again. All other areas must likewise be covered in detail, and as your nominee for the presidency, I plan to do this. I am, moreover, counting on a vice presidential candidate who will be equally capable of such an approach. In addition, I believe we have been negligent in the past and not aggressively seeking support on the political left and from youth on high school and college campuses. A successful 1976 campaign must reach out to the many liberals who share our concern for civil liberties and our commitment to a non-interventionist foreign policy. There's people today who need to hear that. We're non-interventionists. I'm not sorry if that bothers you. And who are now seeing the consequences of welfare state programs and such things as the fiscal crisis of New York City. To reach them, we must make them aware of our passion for justice. They must learn that our political struggle in defense of individual liberty sees liberty as a necessary precondition. God, that's the same words I used this weekend, and I didn't get that from here. But I said liberty is a necessary but not sufficient precondition for human flourishing, of a humane society and improved quality of life. In 1976, the newspapers, television stations, and radio stations of America will be commenting with ever-increasing frequency on what we do. As that occurs, the interest of the general populace in what we stand for will rise until we begin to make a showing in the public opinion polls. As that happens, the whole process will be self-reinforcing until, if all goes as we plan, discussion of the LP will be a substantial factor in the decisions made during the bicentennial year and increasingly so thereafter. Funny that this was the bicentennial year. I remember decorating my bike and all of this patriotic crap, and I won first prize at this McDonald's contest. I should try to find that picture. It's pretty pathetic now. But I mean, I was only a little kid, so what do you expect? For a kid, it was cute. I was very extra then, too. I've been extra my whole life, if you haven't figured that out. At the same time, it is imperative that we never forget, amid the tumult of the campaign, the LP's role and destiny. We are unique among the political parties of American history. We are the party of principle. Our strength comes directly from our uncompromising dedication to the principles of individual liberty. Okay. Something I was going to say. My back hurts so bad from that hike. I am getting old. I figured in the middle, rather than doing it at the beginning, I'm going to do a little bit of my grifting. I'm going to stick on here. If you do appreciate this kind of content, particularly the historical content, because there's no one else doing this, and there is a hunger for it, please do consider supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com, Pink Flame of Liberty. I can tell you, it would make me really, really happy if I had an email in my box at the end of the show that I got another subscriber. So please consider it. I truly, truly appreciate it. And if you go to tinyurl/Pink Flame merch, you'll see I've got a new shirt up. It is well, it comes in many colors, and it's got the hoodie. It's got all the styles and tote bags or whatever. But, you know, primarily a t-shirt that says "The Kids Call Me Based." So pick up the "Kids Call Me Based" shirt from my Teespring store. Again, tinyurl.com/Pink Flame merch. Okay, the next candidate we're going to deal with is Kay Haroff with that fabulous 1970s hairstyle. I think she was chair of Ohio at one point. LP state chairpersons and convention delegates for whom we have addresses have been sent a copy of the Haroff Amendments, a beginning. The idea for these was conceived in frustration following my Senate campaign last year when I searched for some way to force public debate on principles and issues. I originally thought of only 4 or 5 possibilities which I felt had some chance of providing the number of signatures required in Ohio to get an initiative on the ballot. My decision to seek the presidential nomination led me to write a complete, slightly altered set. A copy of them with a letter explaining the concept may be ordered from, and there's an address given, for $1 a copy. I view the amendments, at the moment at least, were more as a possible tool to use in the presidential campaign. Powerful tools, however, to be exploited in many ways. And then she gives the titles of her proposals, her amendments. 1, towards freedom and peace. 2, right of self-determination. 3, in pursuit of justice. 4, equal rights of voters. 5, rights of protection and self-defense. 6, abolition of legalized theft. 7, abolition of coercive monopolies. That would include the state, by the way, because the state is a coercive monopoly. I'm sorry, minarchists. You've got to deal with that. You've got some serious dealing with that to do, okay? I'm getting off that. So remember, I hung out all weekend with a bunch of radical anarchists. So, you know, it's going to take me a while to settle down. And special privilege. 8, separation of education and state. My main concern of the campaign, however, is the communication of the most basic moral principles of the libertarian philosophy, explaining why we must learn to live without wars, taxes, slavery. Oh no, she said slavery. She must be a bigot. I should have worn my Anarchon shirt today. Instead of my Birds Aren't Real 2020, I'll wear it tomorrow. It's badass, and it's got a lot of pink in it. Injustice, and hopefully showing people how we can indeed do just that. If we can only reach the point of persuading people simply that it is possible, then I believe our work will be very nearly finished. To accomplish this with any great numbers of people in a single campaign seems an almost, me and words, I can never pronounce this word. It's Hercules, but it's Herculean. Herculean, there we go, task. And yet I believe I could do it best. I should never have sought the nomination if I could have hoped or believed otherwise. When? No. But a substantial and proud beginning, surely. And the last person to be running is Guy Riggs, or at least the last one that's mentioned here. And we will read his little statement. In 1976, the Libertarian Party and its presidential candidate will be facing their greatest challenge. Almost without a doubt, the only real competition will be President Ford, and anyone reading the papers has found out he's for individual freedom, balanced budgets, decreased federal regulation, etc., etc. If it weren't for the telltale deeds here, there, and everywhere, one would think that the president carried around a copy of our 1974 platform. Our great challenge will be getting the attention of the 4 out of 5 voters in the nation who will listen to our candidate and then say to President Ford and say, there sure isn't much difference between those two. Let's go with the one we got. We, of course, will know there's a world of difference between the two. But how will we convey that to all those people who can't see any difference between Ford's words and our words? Now, I don't remember, obviously, back then. I was just a little kid. But I'm finding it very hard to believe that Ford was talking exactly like a libertarian. Like, this is making it sound like he was almost reading our 74 platform. I mean, maybe some of you are around then, let me know, but this just seems a little weird to me. We will have to convince them with our actions as well, and that's precisely why I have proposed the establishment of a contract between me and the Libertarian Party. If we are to be the party of principle, I'm convinced we've got to go all the way. Let's go all the way. Sorry. We've got to bring the honorable practices of the free market we espouse into politics. And that includes not only the mechanisms of that market, such as contract and fair competition, but also those attitudes towards each other, without which any society loses its savor, namely courtesy, decency, and respect. I have offered myself for hire to be your salesman of liberty. This means I would be trying to convince the electorate to be leaders of themselves, and that if elected, I would be the first among equals. Oh my God, isn't that what Julius Caesar said? I would not ever use that term, first among equals. I am almost positive that's what Julius Caesar said. Am I wrong? Have I been watching just like too much HBO series of Rome? I want to look up that term and see if I'm correct. Because I know he definitely said it in Xena, and the character did, and in that HBO series, first among equals. Well, it's Latin, so that is called primus inter pares. Let's see what Wikipedia has to say about it. To see, yep, it had to do with the Roman Senate. Yeah, I would not be using that terminology. Anyway, that triggered me. I would point out over and over again that the contract I had with my party would be symbolic of what I'd want our relationship to be as president. A voluntary one, with mutual respect and mutual benefit. I would then say that were this relationship to be attained, I'd have achieved my ultimate goal in politics, an America where we all can look each other with a proud eye. The words of Mr. Ford and myself would now have a far different ring when we talked about things ostensibly the same. My words would carry far more conviction when talking about increasing individual freedom, decreasing the size of government, balancing the budget, decreasing federal regulations, etc., because I would be living what I was talking about. The voters just might say, let's hire that guy. Okay, well, we did get through a whole page. Of the three candidates, we do know that McBride got the nomination. Here's where we are going next. And I'm trying to see. So it is the various updates from the state parties. That always takes several episodes. And it looks like there is quite a bit to cover for that. So that will be next time. I am not quite sure yet when that will be. I do have a ballot access committee meeting tomorrow, which reminds me I need to do the minutes. I thought I was going to do them over the weekend, but that just didn't happen. So that is it for this evening. Again, would truly appreciate your patronage at patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty, or if you're one of those types who just don't like using Patreon, I do have a locals account. I think the link is in the low bar, down in the description for YouTube, and also I do think my crypto wallet's there as well. Anyway, get in touch if you would like to hear about other ways, because I do know that sometimes there's some objections, but Patreon is what works really, really well for me. Okay, you all, I hope you have an awesome night. As you can tell, I'm super tired. I am going to bed right after this, hoping to recharge. I have an LNC meeting, in just about 2 weeks now. It's less than 2 weeks. No. Is it the 16th or something? And today's the 7th? No, crap, it's not this weekend, it's the next weekend. So it's coming up. Sorry, I just had a little bit of a brain burp there. So I hope you have an awesome night. And I'm sure I'll do something tomorrow. Maybe it will be some kind of response. Who knows? I'll try to get out some content tomorrow. You know, when I'm in town, I do like to do content on the daily to give you value added for your support. So have a good evening. Mi guapes de Libertad.
What you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business.